This is glorious. I wasn't expected to see the sunshine and blue skies today, but it's very fortuitous because you find me out here on my V7 850 Special Moto Guzzi, and I'm on my last ever ride on this. I'm not dying or anything, it's just that I've decided to sell the bike. I'll tell you more about that in a moment. Anyway, welcome to CG Rides. That got dark rather quickly, didn't it? Anyway, this is the beautiful V7 850 Special. I just wanted to give some final thoughts, or perhaps a bit of closure if you've watched my earlier videos with the slight issues I had with this when it was new. Some people have said I shouldn't have complained or made videos about faults with the bike. I kind of feel like it's good to share those experiences. I never set out to make those videos. I started this second YouTube channel to focus on my biking passion, and I wanted to share some positivity. I just bought this lovely bike and I was planning to do some adventures and some reviews on it. So I never set out to badmouth Moto Guzzi or anything, and I don't think I ever did either. I thought I was always quite reasonable in my videos. Nice bit of wet road there, which basically means I'm now cleaning the bike when I get home. Oh well. Never mind. Yeah, I've been called all sorts of things. I've had some quite obnoxious comments actually. I've been told to stop whining, maybe grab some tissues or a hanky, and stop being such a whinger. Apparently I shouldn't care that the check engine light came on a brand new bike moments after taking delivery of it, or picking it up from the dealer I should say. I still remember that ride. I'd gone from the dealer, it was a beautiful sunny day. When does that ever happen, when you pick up a new bike? And the dealership, they threw in a cooked breakfast in their cafe, so I sat and enjoyed a breakfast, got on my new bike out into the sunshine, and it was just glorious. I was laughing inside my helmet. I was so pleased with this bike. It was everything that I wanted. And then I went for an overtake past a tractor, and this light started flashing at me on the dash, and on came the check engine light, and it never went off again for the next, I don't know what it was, 6 months. Pretty frustrating experience. Now, somebody left a comment the other day offering me a hanky, I think, but also say that I shouldn't be worried about it because I think he said every other Euro 5 bike has a check engine light on. I fancy that is something of a gross exaggeration. It certainly isn't every other bike. A very small percentage of these Moto Guzzi V7s were affected by the mapping issue that mine had. I still don't know exactly why it was affected, but it was fixed entirely with a software map. There were no component changes, so that's all it was at the end of the day, and the bike was running fine. So yeah, I shouldn't have worried about it perhaps. The problem is that it's very easy to watch a YouTube video and bash away at the keyboard and leave a comment, but let's think about the time period here. This was 2 years ago when I released that video, so someone's watching a video that's 2 years old and telling me that, you know, Euro 5 bikes having check engine lights is normal. Well, I wouldn't have said it's normal, but it's not uncommon, and certainly has happened. I've heard about that with Aprilias. I know they had issues, KTMs. So various different manufacturers are all struggling to comply with these emissions regulations and needed to refine their software. And that takes a long time because the software has to be homologated and tested and all the rest of it. So a bit of a frustration. But before that, Euro 4 bikes, was it normal to buy a bike and have the check engine light come on? No, I wouldn't have said so. So that's not what we're used to. I bought a lot of new bikes and I've had a catastrophe or two, but certainly never had check engine light coming on like that. So I feel the comment is a little bit unfair. You can't judge something that happened 2 years ago based on the knowledge and the situation of the future. I don't have a flux capacitor, not one that works anyway, so you have to go with your feelings at the time. And a lot of the time I think those who don't understand the issue, I was never complaining about the bike running. I was always at pains to say it was a great bike. It is a great bike, and still is, love it. And I was always at great pains to say that it was running fine. It's just a software gremlin. The issue was that because the light is on, it devalues the bike. That's the issue that I had. And all of these people writing these aggressive comments, I'll bet any money that if they were coming to buy the bike from me and I was trying to sell it on the used market, they'd look at the check engine light and either walk away or they'd be expecting a huge discount. And that just proves the point. If you've just spent a whole load of your hard-earned cash, and for me it wasn't just hard-earned cash, I'd also traded in a very nice Honda Fireblade in mint original condition, and undoing that deal was going to be difficult. And I'm there now with this bike and I don't know what's happening. I'm not getting straight answers from the dealer. They left me hanging for a long time. Later, after the dealer went bust, I didn't get straight answers from Moto Guzzi. They didn't communicate with me very well. They didn't communicate with the other dealer that I took it to, who helped me out, got it fixed. So shout out to them, SP Motorcycles in Exeter. Thanks for your help, guys. And overall, that's just a miserable situation to be in, because it takes the shine off the new bike. The other problem with it is that the code, you don't get shown a code. The bike does generate a code. If you've got the appropriate machine, you can plug it in and find the code, but you won't be able to know what the actual problem is. Even the dealer doesn't know. They have to email Moto Guzzi, their support team, to get the answer. And sometimes Moto Guzzi don't know, so you end up waiting for ages whilst your bike's being sorted out, because they're not open, they're not communicating freely. And as a buyer, as a customer, that's just not the dream that you were buying into when you buy a beautiful, stylish Italian bike. There are others who said, well, what do you expect? You bought an Italian bike. And yeah, perhaps. I don't entirely subscribe to those kind of stereotypes. I think the bikes are well put together. This is a quality machine. It's lasted really well, I have to say. I mean, obviously I'm a fair weather rider these days. I haven't taken it out in the salty roads or in the snow or anything, but there's no rust on it. It looks good, it looks well made. It's up to, my other bike is a BMW, which is obviously very high quality. I don't think the Moto Guzzi's really that much different considering the price point of this bike. I think it's well made. And the components aren't cheap, nasty bits either. The electronics are Bosch, as far as I'm aware. It's just the software map, and it's just that Moto Guzzi chooses not to share information with their dealers. I think that's a bit of a shame. If we've got to have this era of emissions regulations and heavy electronics, let's just have a code on the dash. Because if you have a code on the dash, in my case it was saying that one of the cylinders was misfiring. Well, it wasn't misfiring. Whether it detected a misfire or not, it wasn't misfiring. So if I'd have seen that code and that was the only code being displayed, I wouldn't have had any worries at all about riding the bike. The problem is it doesn't display a code, it simply turns the light on, so you don't know if there's another code being recorded. And whilst this was happening, it would register codes. You could see the check engine light would flash as it registered a new code. As it happens, it was registering the same code every time, but you don't know that as a user. You don't know. And because of that, it could have been anything wrong with the engine. So Moto Guzzi might be saying it's okay to ride the bike with this specific problem, but you don't know if there's another problem. And you can't take it to the dealership all the time to be getting the fresh codes read out to you to see whether there's anything new. So the net result is, I bought the bike, I rode it home, and it stayed in the garage for over a week. I had a trip planned which I had to do on a different bike, and it just took the shine off of that first year of riding. I just had to get it to first service mileage, and that was a little bit miserable. There were some nice rides in there. Once it got sorted, I have really enjoyed this bike. There's no hang-ups from before. I don't feel any kind of animosity towards Moto Guzzi at all. I'm pleased that they got me sorted, and in the end, gave me another year's warranty and another year's breakdown cover. I got an apology from them. They accepted their communication could be better. Well, that's fair enough, isn't it? You can't ask for any more than that. It would have been nicer if it was all solved a bit sooner, but I do understand that they had to redo the software and get it homologated and all of that. So I understand that takes time. All they had to do was tell me that's what was happening and be realistic about when it was going to happen. That didn't happen. It does just kind of take the shine off a bit, and that, I think, is something that you have to expect if you're buying a bike from Piaggio Group. So does it put me off? Should it put you off? No. This is a fantastic bike. If you want this bike, if you want a retro classic with some of the most stylish looks out there, go and have a look at one of these. They are just brilliant. And would I buy another Piaggio Group bike again? Yes, in fact I have. I've just bought a new Piaggio Group bike, but I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, because A, that's the kind of irritating thing that I like to do, because I want to eke out another piece of content for you all to watch. So at some point soon there will be a new bike reveal, and you'll be able to see what I've gone for. But by all means, in the meantime, let's have a little competition. If you want to have a little guess down in the comments as to what I've gone for next, and see if anyone gets it right. I'm not going to suggest there's going to be a prize or anything other than that smug feeling of satisfaction when you know you're right. I certainly will give you a shout out if you guess it right. I'm not convinced that everyone will. So let's just lay down some rules here. You've got to tell me the manufacturer, because Piaggio Group have a number of different brands, the model, and let's have the colour choice as well. Why not? Let's make it difficult. Let's see who could get closest. That'll be good fun on the next video. I'm really disappointed with all of this water running down the road on this dry day, because I was hoping to get away with not cleaning the bike again before I sold it. Anyway, perhaps it just remains to say a few final words on the V7 850 Special and why I'm going for a change, I guess. Although that might give away what I'm going to get next, but if you recall, if you've watched any of my previous videos, I came from a Fireblade onto this bike, and I've had two bikes for a while. I keep two bikes, one mainly for touring and one for having fun on. So the Fireblade was my having fun on bike, and I just wasn't having much fun on it. Beautiful bike, really easy to ride and very docile, but there really isn't anywhere that you can open up a bike like that on UK roads. Not without losing your license anyway, and you don't really get to enjoy the performance. It's not a really talky bike. It's a sports bike, an inline four, and you gotta rev it up if you want to really feel the power of the bike. And if you're doing that, well, then you're going to be breaking the law in very short order. I just found it quite frustrating, because you'd have all this power and you couldn't really use it, and if you did go past someone, you were just promptly up behind somebody else. And I used to come home from a ride feeling agitated and fed up, and it just dawned on me, like, this is not what motorcycling should be about. It's supposed to be fun, it's supposed to be freedom. Oh goodness, look at the state of this road. Dirt on it and everything. Bike is going to be filthy, and that's quite annoying because I haven't done my B-roll for the other video that I've shot today, so the bike's going to be filthy for the B-roll. First world problems, very British problems as well. We've had so much rain in this country, it's ridiculous. So even though some of the roads are dry, the fields are waterlogged, and it's all just seeping out onto the roads with a load of mud to make your bike filthy. Oh well. You can see all the water there, look in that field. Beautiful scenery though. Nice day to be out riding, and a nice bike to be enjoying this on. Unlike the Fireblade. You see, riding a bike like this, you don't mind going a bit slower. It's still a great experience. That's the beautiful thing about biking. It doesn't matter whether you're riding a sports bike, an adventure bike, an off-road bike, a classic bike like this, a cruiser. They're all great experiences in their own way, and I love it all, and I've had most of those bikes. I haven't quite got around to an off-road bike yet, but yeah, that could be on the cards. Who knows? Have I bought an off-road bike? You'll have to guess. So this bike has scratched an itch that it needed to scratch, well, sorry, that I needed to scratch, and that is just to a change of pace, to start enjoying motorcycling again without the frustrations. And something else that you can do on a bike like this, particularly where I live here in this beautiful countryside, is you can go exploring. So I've had some slower rides down single track lanes, visiting little villages and exploring places that I've never seen before, and that's been really interesting because I've done so much motorcycling. I kind of know all of the roads really well, so to be able to just go off the beaten track a little bit, that's been really nice. And on a sunny day in the summer when it's warm, open face helmet on, just chugging down a narrow lane and through a lovely little picturesque village, kind of feels like you're back in the 1930s or something. Feels like you've gone back in time, and it's just a really nice experience. This bike is a really relaxed way of riding because you've got no wind protection. It just stops you from going too quick, so you don't have to worry about your license. But it's got enough get up and go that if you get to a twisty road, you can really let rip and have fun. It handles well. It's just a great all-round bike. Great for shorter journeys, but there's nothing stopping you doing a much longer trip on this. It's got long enough legs that you could go touring on it. You could get some lovely saddlebags that would match the look of the bike, and yeah, why not do a long tour? It's great for pillion as well. I've not done much pillion riding, but I have had my wife on the back a couple of times, and as long as she kept away from the metal grab rail over the bumpy bits, and she was comfortable. And I have to say, the bike handles really well too up. So it is a great bike. I don't think there's anything else out there in the retro arena that looks quite as good as this bike. That's not to say there's not a lot of good looking bikes out there. There's loads of great looking machines, but what's great about this is it's air cooled, so you just get that lack of fuss. There's no radiator on it. It clean lines. It looks great, and with this engine, loads of character. For me though, I'm finding that I've kind of scratched that itch. I've visited the little villages that I wanted to visit, and I'd like something with a bit more power, I think. Just a little bit more sporty. I don't know that I want a sports bike, but something a bit more sporty, a bit more powerful, and a bit more plush. Not that there's anything wrong with the comfort or the handling of this bike. For the price paid, it's absolutely fine, but the roads are getting worse, and British roads are just full of potholes. They are not maintained, and they're not being maintained at the level they should be for the amount of traffic that's on them, so they're just getting worse and worse. And this bike isn't the greatest ride when you're on a very bumpy road. On a mediocre road like this one, it's not the best surface at all, but yeah, quite happy through these bends, cranking it over, speed up a bit and enjoy that. Nothing wrong with the handling of this bike. I've managed to scrape the hero blobs on the pegs, so it'll press on if you want to. It's just a great all-round bike. I think I've said that already, but that's the conclusion I've come to. If I could have 3 bikes, I would keep this one, and I'm quite sad that it's going and this is my last ride on it. I almost, there is a part of me that kind of wants the deal for the other bike to kind of fall through for some reason, just as I've got an excuse to keep it, which is a bit daft, isn't it? I sort of in equal measures want to keep this but want to have something else. And I never really keep bikes much longer than 2 to 3 years anyway, so I am due for a change. I like to have different experiences, and who's to say I won't come back to a bike like this in another couple of years' time. Something else that factors into my decision as well, it's not my only bike, so this is a second bike, and my other bike is currently the BMW R1250 RT, which is a big heavy bike, and I've lost quite a bit of weight and muscle tone in fact as well, due to being on a diet for health reasons, and I'm struggling a bit actually with that big bike. And I'm due in a couple of weeks to go to Spain again on it, and I'm sure I'll be fine, but it's not filling me with pleasure. It's not filling me with excitement, the thought of riding that bike. I think I would rather be on something else, because my wife's not coming with me, and the whole reason for picking up that bike was for her to have a comfortable pillion position. It is a great bike in every respect, it's just a bit big. And that means that it's not something that I want to just get out of the garage every day to ride to work a few miles down the road. You don't just want to pop to the shops on it, you want to do longer journeys on it. So my second bike has to be my fun toy that I get out at the weekend. And so there are times when I'd like to go a bit quicker than this bike, and I'd like it to be, actually I've said that, it's not so much the speed. This bike is plenty fast enough and it's got plenty enough power. It's the focus that comes from a bike that's made for riding quick. You know, it's just more focused in the bends, and yeah, so that probably gives you some good hints as to what kind of bike I might be going for next. Answers in the comments below. I hope you've enjoyed watching some of my content on the V7, and I'm sorry that if it has come across as negative. I mean, I've just been sharing my experience. I never meant to be bashing on Moto Guzzi or anything like that. I've tried to be as positive as possible in the comments. I've seen a few people saying, you know, they'd never buy one as a result of watching my videos. I'm really sad about that. If that's the case, you're missing out. I don't think it ever works to boycott brands on the basis of just one experience like that. You can get a lemon from every manufacturer. It's just the way it goes. Yes, okay, Moto Guzzi's after sales support is not the best in the world, but what's the chances you're going to need it? I don't know. Only you can answer that for yourself. I personally am not going to boycott the brand, because all that does is punishes me, and I don't want to be punished. There's some good bikes to be ridden. I want to enjoy it. It's one of the things, actually. So my main YouTube channel is all about tech, and in the tech world there is a lot of fanboyism, particularly sort of get the Android and Apple fanboys, the Windows fanboys, and they just can't seem to accept a reasonable debate or argument. You know, if you say anything about their brand that's negative, they get really upset, or you know, they'll remain loyal to one brand, or they'll be disloyal to another brand or whatever. I don't understand it. Why tie yourself down to one brand's products, or refuse yourself the opportunity to buy another brand's products because you don't agree with their corporate behavior or something else? If you like the product, buy it and enjoy it. Don't punish yourself. It's just my thought on it. I like to enjoy lots of different things from lots of different manufacturers. I quite enjoy talking about Apple computers, but I really detest Apple's corporate behavior and policies, particularly their environmental policies and their attitude towards right to repair. And sadly, some of these same issues are becoming pervasive now in the automotive industry, as indeed are fanboys. It does seem to happen particularly with Tesla, and those that don't like Tesla. It seems there's a very strong kind of divided opinion about it. So you've got people who will refuse to buy a Tesla because they don't agree with the brand or its fans, and then you've got others who won't buy anything but a Tesla. I'm sort of rambling a bit here, but I think it's possible to like a product without liking or condoning the company that makes it. That may be a contentious opinion. Let me know in the comments. I'm sure some will disagree with me. I don't really have anything bad to say about this bike other than that experience, which again I have to reiterate, is a tiny percentage of people were affected. I just got unlucky, and I just happened to have started a YouTube channel at the wrong time, and I presented my opinion. But it's a great bike. I'd have another one. You are going to want to be within reasonable distance of a dealer, I should think, if you're going to buy one that's relatively new. But these are now getting older. I mean, this bike now is 2 years old, so and it's about to come onto the used market. I've traded it in with a dealer in Peterborough. I don't live anywhere near Peterborough, so it's going to get couriered up there, but somebody is no doubt going to buy this bike, and then we'll probably go on YouTube and have an absolute fright when they realise the bike they've just bought is the subject of videos about a check engine light problem. If that is you and you're the future owner of this beautiful bike, then well done you. You've bought an absolute gem. I've looked after it, and it's been serviced properly. It's gone to the main dealer for that, and it has genuinely been a great bike. I haven't had issues with it other than that one mapping issue, which was resolved. So enjoy your new beast. Anyway, I think that's about enough from me. Why listen to me yabber anyway when you could be outside enjoying your own bikes and doing something wonderful? But before you head out and don the helmet, why not give this video a like and perhaps consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done already. And I'll see you again soon, next time. CG Rides.